Bam, bam, bam. Alright. We're going to start getting ready. We're going to start recording. Let's go on to YouTube's so we can get that chat going. Bam, bam, bam. Alright. We're going to start getting ready. We're going to. Alright. Well, some of you guys will be coming on to the chat at some point. I highly encourage you guys to be talking on the chat. There you go. And while YouTube and everything else lets you guys know that I'm here, I will start talking a little bit about my books. Yes, everyone, I have a few books out, and I'm going to be promoting them because this is officially the best way that you guys can actually help me and support me while still being able to get something cool out of it. So I have 2 books out, Pinups, which is an entire book of just all the pinups that I have done in a very long time, over the course of like 15 years, and I just crammed them all in there, like collage style. Sprinkled in with a little bit of knowledge here and there, so hope you guys enjoy that one. And Coffee Break Doodles are a collection of my daily sketches that I like to post and encourage all of you guys with. And they started off all as Coffee Break Doodles that I had 15 minutes to do, and therefore, you know, essentially I became a little bit famous because of these. So that's book number 2. But today we are going to be drawing myself as a Pokemon master, like a Pokemon trainer or a Pokemon gym master. This was a question that you guys asked. If I had a choice, which one would I be? Did I crack my... I think I cracked my Cintiq. Oof. Hold on here. Hold on a second. Where are the tips? This is something that happens to artists quite often, by the way. And the last thing that I want to do is scratch my tablet. So I'm going to just grab another pen that I have and hope that works. I think that's just a brush that's laggy. By the way, I am using Clip Studio, and if you're using Clip Studio and you go into the wet wash brush, apparently it lags your computer down horribly. Okay, so we have the G pen. Can we use this? It looks a little bit good. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so disaster bypassed. We will start drawing me as a Pokemon master. So first of all, why a Pokemon? Why the question, right? Well, first of all, I'm a huge Pokemon fan. I have liked the games ever since they came out on the original Game Boy, and I have played almost every iteration since then. The last ones that have come out for the last console, I have not been able to play, but I hear that they're not that challenging either, and like battle system like ready, so it's more like a little story game. So I wasn't completely, sold on that. And let's see, do we want to go with a pencil or a marker? Let's go with this one. Okay, so Pokemon have been a big part of my childhood, and especially ghosty Pokemon. I love ghost Pokemon. I always absolutely loved the whole trio of Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar. They were like just the coolest Pokemon out there. And I always left my Ghost Gengar. I never upgraded him to Gengar because I never had anybody to trade with. I was a very lonely kid, and the only person that could use it was my brother, and he didn't want to trade with me, so it just never worked out. And then the first time I was able to actually get Gengar in the game, I just made him everything. He was in every team I ever made, and I just absolutely loved the character so much, and I just fell in love with him. I don't necessarily like his character design that much. I like Haunter. I like Haunter way much more. But I had okay, you guys are asking questions. That's probably the reason why I put the chat there, right? So I should probably pay attention to it. Okay, so Passion Gaming Quebec. Hey Rodgon, how are you? I am doing fantastic. It's been a good week. It was a good weekend. Let's see. That's me. And then I'd have a Pokeball shooting these guys out. Okay, let's start trying to visualize this as a concept while I answer stuff. Now, how are you? I'm doing great. I recently, well, not recently, like maybe like the last 6 months, I picked up pool as a pastime, hobby, whatever you want to call it. So I have been doing very well in that area. Like, honestly, I don't know if it's just something that everybody like gets to really quickly, but for some reason it seems like I'm doing well above the normal for a new person going into a hobby or a sport, which is something that I find really fun because I haven't felt like that ever since I used to bowl. I used to be a bowler, and I used to really enjoy bowling. It was I was really good at it, and I always thought, how would it have been if I actually had gone and like pursued that as I don't know, even a career choice, yeah? It'd just be like something different to have done. So, like, a constant thing that I ask myself also is, if I had not been an artist, what would I have been? And honestly, the only other thing that I see myself having been a big part of is video games. Video games were a huge part of my childhood. Like, absolutely gigantic. I was particularly good at fighting games. Fighting games were my thing. I could have easily been in that competitive level of fighting games. Like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and SNK versus Capcom and SNK versus Capcom 2, and then Street Fighter Alpha, and all the good competitions that like used to happen in like arcades, and I used to love that scene. That is one thing that actually hurts me. Just remembering and like thinking back, arcades, man. Arcades were awesome. Like, they were just so cool. It was just like a really cool place to go and like, challenge people and like have fun and like put a sense of domination for gamers. Like, when a drawing gets too muddled and you don't like the detail anymore, just start over. And then because it's easier to just start over sometimes and like keep going and going and going and going. So I've been feeling really good about pool. It's been really fun. I've been putting a lot of hours into it, and I seem to be progressing a lot, better than I thought. In the first season that I was in this, I got MVP of my league. I went and like took qualifying tournaments to be able to go to regionals, and I beat everybody at the tournaments. And it's been really fun too, because I never really get out of the house. And when I do get out of the house, it normally has to have a purpose. The way that I work the way that it works for me at least, and I don't know if it's the case with a lot of you as well, but in order for me to want to go do something, it has to be something that is going to beat me being at home in my perfect, calm solitude. And give me a second, guys. Hey, bro. I'm streaming, so I'll give you a call after I'm done. Okay, I'll just talk to you in a little bit. Oh, unless you're gonna go to bed. No. Okay, no, I'll hit you up in a little bit. Okay, bye. One thing that is very important, or I have come to realize, that no matter how busy you are, no matter what you're doing, if you have the opportunity to talk to those people around you that care about you, do that. Answer. Put a little priority into the people that love you and care for you. You know, don't ignore them. It's something that you learn over time. Life's just better when that happens. Okay. So right now I'm just going to draw a basic generic face. I'm going to turn that face into me at some point. I'll give it a slightly hookier nose and everything. But I'm just mapping out my character with my mask shape method, and just to make sure that I'm well proportioned and that I know where all the features are going to go. So I have a mouth right there. I'll later on change it to whatever facial expression I need. My chin, and I'm going to give myself a little bit bigger chin than normal just to add for the little fuzz that I have. Okay. Just very general. Pew, pew, pew. Mustache. So the mustache, we're going to draw myself in a Pokemon type of world. So they have ridiculous hair, and I love it. So we're going to go with, like, if I'm going to be a ghost Pokemon, like trainer or like gym master, I am going to look amazing doing so. I always wanted a mega mustache. Like, for some reason, it just never really grew in when I was younger. It started growing in when I was like 25, which is like super late for like anyone to start growing facial hair. But when I did, I just started like trying to grow it out super cool in every way possible. And it took a while to get it to like even get to the point where it is right now. Like eventually, when I get old and I like get like wrinkly and like, I want to bleach my hair and my mustache out, and then just let it grow gloriously, just so I can look like a buff Santa. That's the goal. Buff Santa mode. Okay. Alright. Let's see. For that should be a good start for the mustache. Just make it a little dark so we can differentiate it. Remember, this is just a sketch. I'm not necessarily too worried about getting final details yet. Just working with a sketch. And then we'll make my goatee a little bit like that. So we're gonna make my facial hair look like the little trails from the ghost Pokemon, if that makes any sense. I would probably mostly be that, but I might have a couple choices here that might surprise you guys as well. That will be in every single one of my Pokemon games, or they are every single time. Okay. There you go. Okay, we'll leave it at that for the sketch. Okay, so Sank owner, what up, bro? How you been? I've been great. Sank owner pinup, I need that book. If you guys want any of the books, the link to it is in the description of this video, or even easier, just go to my Instagram and it should be in the link in the bio. There's ebook options for the pinup book, and then there's a printed and an ebook version for the Coffee Break Doodles. And the reason that there's no printed one for pinups yet is because we're using the sales from the digital sales to get it printed. So instead of going through Kickstarter or doing something like that kind of takes away money from me as a creator, I figured that you guys could help out like that. And then whenever it comes out, you guys will have extra content, and I'll make sure to add extra goodies to, things like that. How awesome! How I got to get this? How many pages are they? Coffee Break Doodles is over 50 pages, and the pinup book is about 64 pages. So they're pretty big sketchbook books. What facial expression would I have? Would I be smug? I'd probably be smug. So I'm going to bring the eyebrow line down. I'd be smug because I'd be amazing in the world. By having one eyebrow up, one eyebrow down, you create like a smugness look that is like, And then with it the character looking down a little bit, it just looks like they're looking down on you. So I'm using not just the eyebrows, but the angle of where the face is looking to be able to add that extra little tiny kick that drawings tend to miss when we get towards the end of them. Now I can decide to close my eyes a little bit more. If I wanted to have a more, like, what are you looking at look. But I kind of like this one. So I can have like a Sharingan type of eye. I'll have one normal eye, and then I'll have like a ghost eye. Yeah. And start erasing lines we don't need. And very gently, this is like a pencil brush. If I have to be exact, it's the flat marker brush. Yeah, and this is just, it kind of just feels like a light pencil. It's kind of cool. Just little by little, just kind of replace what was there. The shadows from the mustache, which had a little bit. I can add a little extra depth or darkness to this side so that the eye pops more. And since the eyebrow muscle is coming down, it's going to create a little bit more shadow. But we can definitely start adding little tiny bits. Since this is going to be eventually our shadow layer anyways, because we're just going to ink over this one. So any detail that you have here or erase or anything like that, it's just going to be in the final one anyways. So just go little by little, don't rush it, and then just make sure that all the line work looks fine. Sometimes just going area by area, we can pick up a lot of things that we might have done wrong or we might have like missed. You know, by just erasing that tip part at the top, I just created a light source in the front. And since I know that these are 3D shapes, and little mini lesson time! You guys ready? Okay, so we have our face, right? So now we're going to take that face and we're going to test to see how we aligned it and to see if everything looks right. A lot of people do the whole flipping of the canvas and stuff, and that's actually really good to do, but I always forget to do that. So I'm going to show you how I go about it, and maybe it helps you too. So I choose a color like a red or a blue. In this case, let's go with like a bluish or purple or whatever. So then I start mapping out my character, first of all, just in geometric shapes with my mask. And I start making sure that everything is in their place. Okay. So I'm looking at this. I'm realizing that maybe I need to skew everything a little bit to the right, or I just need to adjust the angle of the chin a little bit farther back so that it follows this anatomy. So here's the mid part, right? And if I wanted to actually map this out even more so, you can start subdividing, and then also having this as a reference point. I can see that maybe the eye needs to be a little bit higher, right? If I want this exact angle from this side, maybe that's the case. I think I might need to bring it up a little bit. And then the eyebrow would need to be brought up a little bit too. Then the nose, let's see. If I take that same nose shape, break it down into even basic shapes, that looks fine. We're going to treat these big mustaches like ribbons. So if the same ribbon went to both sides, right, and the ribbon twisted up, and then it twisted back, and then it twisted again. Okay, I think it would be more like along the lines of there. Which means that my chin would actually not be coming out of here, it would be coming down here. So all this that I drew just needs to be shifted a little bit. Okay. So let's go ahead and adjust our drawing. Now that we have seen what we need to adjust, and bring that down. How would be the best way to go about this? Okay, no, that works. Okie dokes. Let's ghost this out a little bit more. Ghost this out a little bit less. Or not at all. And let's just adjust our art to fit our template. Okay. We already drew our template, so any line that's outside of that template doesn't necessarily matter. You can just go in and erase it. Alright. Remember, it doesn't matter if it's messy. Like that's one other comment that I tend to see a lot, and people complaining about messy sketches. I especially see this coming from Mexico and Brazil, and you know, you guys tend to think or believe that a cleaner sketch leads to better art. And I mean, it's not a wrong assumption to have at all, but that's not necessarily how it works. A lot of the times, we are not gonna think the same. Two artists are not gonna think the same way about art or how to approach it, and that is one thing that is very wrong with, for example, art schools. In art school, they teach you that you need to think a certain way in order to get hired. And if you don't do things like they do, or they don't, just gonna erase this part. Yeah, like for example, art schools teach you to be an employee. You know, so you have to be versatile. You just have to learn a little bit about everything, and that's going to like hamper a lot of people's ambitions, if their ambitions are just to be one thing, and that one thing is like the core of the values that they like uphold in art. When that's the case, and somebody has that like strict of a guideline for success, and they can't achieve it, or they can't find a parallel path to that, well, that's like when you need to realize that if you want a job, if you want to learn how to live in this creative field, you need to be very versatile. You need to not just offer services for yourself, but you need to become as versatile, because the industry changes constantly. The demand for different kinds of art is, staggering sometimes. And when a new fad hits, or when something new just happens, you need to be on top of that very quickly if you want to be an innovator, if you want to be able to use that new filter in the best way, or like the new brush that came out, or the new AR system with painting, anything like that. It's always ideal to be on top of it instead of waiting for somebody else to do it and then you trying to copy them. As an artist, you have to just be versatile, and you have to put ego aside a lot too. So when people get upset when they criticize their work, you need to get over that. There you go. Okay, now that we have our sketch, we just finish up a couple more things. Refine the sketch again a little bit because it got a little bit destroyed when we adjusted everything. There you go. And then the mustache. Yeah. Oh, we haven't even added my glasses yet. Oh, I'm gonna get some awesome glasses. Alright, hold on. Let's see. They have to be themed in the Pokemon that I'm using. So, hold on. Let's figure out the rest of the pose first. My ear is way too to the side. So I'm just going to erase it. And don't be afraid to adjust your artwork if it doesn't look right. Don't be afraid to start a part over or to change it. You know, refining your art, understanding your mistakes, and learning to unlearn really bad habits is absolutely essential if you want to get better. In my ideal world, I have a full beard. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There you go. That's me as a Pokemon trainer. Okay, so let's zoom out. Okay, I like that face. I like what we're working with here. So we're gonna have our Pokemon hovering around us. So let's make this guy a little bit smaller. Okay. And let's figure out the glasses. We'll make a new layer for the glasses so we can change it if we don't like it. So we'll start with some basic glasses, which will be just boxy. Your basic nerd glasses. San Connor, what did you have, blue or red when they first came out? My brother got red and I got blue, and we both absolutely loved it. But I think I just fell in love with the whole stats system in RPGs from that point on. I think that game literally set me on the path of RPGs for the remainder of my life. They are my favorite game types, my genre. For me, for personal gaming, not for competition or whatever, I enjoy games like Final Fantasy Tactics is my absolute favorite game. Final Fantasy Tactics is and forever will be one of the best games ever made. It's just so freaking good. Okay, we're gonna make my head a little bit bigger. Just so I can accommodate moving the ear a little bit more back. Which means that I just have to retry. I just wanted to have a little bit more of the glasses, like a little side thing, a little ear. And then into my ear. And that just meant having to make the head a little bit bigger. So I could move everything back. There. All right, there you go. Back on track. Whoop, whoop. And we'll flip this in a second to make sure. Actually, we should probably do that right now. I forget how to do that here. There you go. Okay, so I'm not seeing much that is off, except for maybe the chin needing to go in a tiny bit more. Let's let's see. The nose seems fine. Here seems fine. And most importantly, the top of the head is the most important part to get right whenever you're flipping this, because that is the one part that always looks weird. The skewing of the top of the head. Right, but in this case, it seems fine. Everything seems okay. I'm alright. I'm happy with that. Okay, so now that we have the head, let's start making my body. Now, I do enjoy the fact that I'm getting in shape. It makes me feel good, and it's something that I've been working at for a couple years now. So I'm going to draw myself a little bit exaggerated. Remember, this is optimal rod. And if I was in the Pokemon world, I would be ripped. And I'd probably be like, probably be holding the Pokeball right here. So I like to do time under tension exercises, which is just body weight exercises, and that's how I lost most of my weight. Just building strength to doing that, and the weight just kind of fell off. And when I stopped eating sugar, well, I never stopped eating completely sugar. I love sugar way too much. I love cereal, I love cereal, I love cereal, and I love cereal. I don't know if I said this enough, but I like cereal. So we're going to have Buff Rod holding the Pokeball on both sides. Figuring out the other arm. It's not very hard, just kind of follow the shapes and just sculpt out your character. This is the reason that learning a little bit of anatomy and perspective is so important. Essentially, you learn perspective so that you can like overlap shapes, right? And you learn perspective to be able to learn how to draw the shapes. So, mini lesson. Okay, bye, Rod. Bye, Rod. Mini lesson. You don't need to learn everything about perspective. You don't need to learn 1 3-point and whatever perspective. Essentially, the main reason to learn perspective is to map things out, period. So, let's say you have a horizon line. And let's make this a little bit big. Boom, horizon line. And then the whole reason to learn perspective is to understand how to place things on a plane. Like, I am not drawing things perfectly here. But now I have all these different segments right here. So now each one of these could be a building, a box that has toys in it. It could rise up to be a vehicle. Beep, beep. You can draw buildings really quickly. And this leads to everything as well. Like, if you're trying to draw a character and you have their head, and their head is going into the horizon, one of these is going to be seen from underneath because the perspective's there, but then the feet are going to be looked at from the top. because you're looking down in perspective past the horizon line. So a lot of people don't really pay attention to that, and their drawings look stiff because they just don't pay attention to that. They just draw everything flat, and that's just counterproductive. You know? So the reason that you learn perspective is so that you can learn to subdivide things properly, right? And then you can take those same objects, those subdivisions, and then turn those subdivisions into characters, into portraits, into vehicles, into monsters, into whatever. Like, that's the reason that you learn basic shapes, right? Now that could be a little squid, yeah, whatever. Like it that's the reason we learn basic perspective as artists. If you don't want to go mega into it, you don't even have to, really. I recommend it. I recommend that you learn it properly, but then use it loosely, just like you would a gesture, to accomplish the things that you want, and learn to draw things a little bit more dynamic. Okay, so back to my drawing. I'm going to draw my head a little bit bigger. There you go. Okay, so we're going to have that. I'm going to have that. I like to use the warp tool a lot when it comes down to... do they have it here? Yeah, they do. I like to use this tool because it lets me just like mess around with the proportions without much consequence to my drawing. Like I don't have to worry about it being messed up, but I get to play around with how it would look like if I exaggerated some features. And I kind of like it. There you go. I like that. Okay. Nice. Have our muscles connecting. And I'll talk a little bit more about how the muscles connect whenever I'm inking. Okay, so we have shoulders, triceps, dot. Okay, it's looking good, it's looking good. Okay, now I gotta add my tattoos, because I do have tattoos and I love them. I have a big spiral here. And I got this one mostly because I used to do a lot of downhill skating. And I always, I got to the point where I was helping a lot of kids and teaching, like, and using, like, skating as a very good tool against, like, you know, going out and smoking drugs and stuff like that. You know, just giving kids an option to do something really cool, you know, after a long week of studying. And I got it's this one right here. So I got that one mostly to represent the spiral of life and how it's not ever easy. It's bumpy, it's edgy, it's never smooth, but we still have to keep on going. It is also a very nice conversational piece because whenever I see it and I show it to absolutely anybody, I like to ask them if they see the spiral going up or they see the spiral going down. And that gives me an insight as to if they're like a cup half full person or a cup half empty type of person as well. So I incorporated psychological test onto my body. I've always been fascinated with human behavior, so things like that have always been really interesting to me. Okay, we're gonna just map out some of the muscles, the bicep, the tricep would show a little bit on the side. It probably lose a little bit of the muscle mass going in, and that's just from literally just me working out and just seeing how my muscles work. Like, I did not take any extensive anatomy lessons. I'm not saying that I'm super buff either, and that's the reason why I can see my muscles. When you start using every muscle, you start feeling it, and you're able to visualize that a lot more easy if you allow yourself to perceive that. Like, the biggest thing that I always tell people is that you have to have a teaching or learning mentality, period, like all the time. Like, the moment that you stop with the mentality of having to learn something, you're already on like a downward spiral. Like, you need to constantly tell yourself that you need to get better. Not that you're not good, just that you need to get better. Because you're going to have to compete with people. If you do this for a living, you will have to compete with a lot of people over the course of your life. You're going to compete with millions of people trying to do the same thing that you do. And if you are competent, then people will see you as a beacon for, how they can imagine their lives being. For how they can imagine how they would be able to accomplish their goals. And that's beautiful. And I like being that. Okay, let's go into refining a little bit more of the Pokeball. We're gonna increase the size of my palm into my knuckles, into the first segment, into the second segment. Just take it little by little, and little by little it just starts coming together, man. It's like sculpting something. You just have to build it up little by little, landing little correct things here and there, and then, it might take like 5-6 revisions, but it'll look so much better. Like, have patience. That is something that my ex taught me. And I will forever be grateful to her. I hope she's doing great. Okay, so we have our glove, our fingers, going around it. Then we're gonna have fingers for this one as well. So I gotta draw my tattoos from this end too. So I have a tiki band. I have an S underneath my arm. It was gonna be for skating because I like skating a lot. And I have arrows on the top of my arm. It's like graffiti arrows that are just going down, and there's like a land cityscape on top. But it's like a bunch of arrows going. Okay, I'm going to cap the rest of my fingers. Erase the parts that we don't need. Okay, so what kind of Pokemon trainer would I be? Would I be a trainer or would I be a gym master? Well, personally, I think I would be I'd be a trainer. I'd be a trainer. As much as I love teaching, I would be too antsy to go test my skill sets with other people. So I know that it's normally not the case that the buff dude wins in any anime or anything like that. It's always like the protagonist that's not like that. But no, this time around, the buff dude with the awesome mustache is going to whoop everyone's butt, become the top Pokemon master, and is going to beat every single person on his path. Alright, so we have me. We have my gloves, because I love having gloves. I don't know why. I just love having gloves. I might give myself a hat. Because I always wear hats. So to draw a hat effectively, first just draw a circumference, like a circle around the top of your forehead, and then just build up the hat from there. Again, it's just a basic shape. It's just a box on top of the head. And then we use the subdivisions to figure out where everything else is supposed to go. Like the back panel would be right there. You'd probably see a little bit of back end of the hat, the bill coming over there. You can erase the top of the head. And then we can build the little, we already have the subdivisions, so we can just figure out where that front panel in the front is. And voila! We have a hat. And my hat's all meshy, so I'm just going to draw some cross hatches. And a little bit of shadows here, so it indicates that I'm still bald. But there's a little bit of mask going through that mesh. Okay. Little tiny little details like that help your illustrations look so much more alive. Alright. Okay, so we have my hat. Now, what type of clothing do I want to be wearing? Let's scale this guy down so we can add a little bit more. I'm having a lot of fun with this. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna go to the comments because I haven't, I need to rest my hand for a second. So let's go into the other one. Boom. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Let's read some comments, okay? Well, I rest my hand. Honestly, drawing digital is incredibly taxing on you. Just gonna say it like that. It's incredibly taxing on you. And it's like you're hunched over half the time. You're like literally like straining your hand. Oh, I prefer drawing like just regular with a sketchbook so much more. I wish that I could just do that because even the on the iPad, it doesn't feel the same. Okay, let's go up. We left at Quebec, Passion Gaming Quebec. Hope you will put wire in your mustache because it will never stand straight when growing. Really? I mean, when I wax it, it actually stands out pretty far. But I get what you mean. It's kind of hard. Donkey balls. George Floyd was a drug addict who held pregnant women at gunpoint. What? Okay. Jammin' Jester. Hot damn, look at that stash. What up, Rod? How's it going, Jammin' Jester? Sank Owner, what is your team on Marvel vs. Capcom 2? Oh my god! Oh my god! My team was glorious. My team consisted every single time of Psylocke, Gambit, and the combination of Captain Commando or Akuma. And I love that game so much. So much. I love it, man. Like, that is one game that they just ruined with version 3. Like, I know there's like some diehard fans for it, but in my opinion, they ruined the game. They went to a 3D sprite like type of thing instead of like keeping it the 2D like awesome look that it was, and in my own personal opinion, they ruined it. A lot of people don't agree, but I just never felt the same about that game. Okay, we're gonna add myself some muscles. And let's get back to chat because I totally forgot where it went. Boo-boo-doo. Luiso Tunes, the ultimate Rodgon. Yeah. Howdy. How's it going? Dragons on Silts, Passion Gaming, Quebec. Is it true that if you want to learn things right, you learned it squarish figure sculpting before using No, not really. Everybody learns different. Some people learn by, seeing boxes. Some people just visualize boxes a little bit easier than, other people. And that's how they just see objects, and their mind is easy to so you can do it with boxes, and it works. That it gives you a very structured version of your drawing. Whatever you need, you can really do with boxes. But it's no different than just drawing with spheres. It's just the whole reasoning behind drawing with boxes is to learn where the underside and the sides of the face are. But if you learn how to subdivide even these, it becomes really easy to do it with both circles or boxes. It's just a matter of how you understand it. There's no right or wrong. It's just if you understand that if you're good at shading spheres, this is going to be a good approach for you. If you're good at shading cubes, then this approach is going to be good for you. There's no harder one. Actually, if anything, the spheres would be easier, but and you would get less rigid drawings. But the whole body structure is a combination of all those things. Let's say this drawing that we have so far, let's just combine everything because I like the way that it looks. No, just those layers. Just those layers. Okay, there you go. Okay, so let's take the one that we just drew. I'm going to show you guys how it's just all basic shapes. The whole thing is just basic shapes. This is just a half circle with the front cut out so that you can fit the other muscles, which are cylinders. Both of these are cylinders. They're just two cylinders overlapping each other. Right? Then we get to the forearm. The forearm is a cylinder that's really flat. Honestly, your wrist is not that fat. It's not a complete cylinder. It's really, really cylindrical. So we have the front of that, and then we know that the back is a little bit thicker. It's a little chunkier. So we just create an oval for the back, and then we just complete the tube, and then we subdivide that tube, going into perspective. Right? This is a box, but it's a squishy box. It's a box that you can bend a little bit. These are cylinders and spheres for the knuckles and the top of the fingers. They're all cylinders and spheres going into perspective. I'm missing a finger here. There you go. The face. A very simplified way of seeing the face is like this. The front part has a point at the top, maybe not that far. that is the most accurate way to break down the face. Very easy. Very simple. The bottom is not a box. It's more of a point. So drawing it as a box becomes very hard for you to understand this little area. The underside of the chin. Right? And I'm telling you that because it was really hard for me to understand it too. If you draw things as a sphere, you have a very similar issue. And it's very hard because it's a very complex shade right there. It's a little easier, but you know, it's still not an easy part to learn how to draw. So both of them have their drawbacks. So honestly, in my opinion, I find it easier to learn how to draw the whole structure from head to toe. And what I mean by that is learn how to draw actual anatomy. Learn how to draw skulls and then focus on the planes of the face. Not just drawing what shapes they are, but try to feel a surface to them and try to map them out. If you're able to go over your drawings, map out a little skeleton over the drawing that you did, and then see how accurate it was, how it looks, then you'll start slowly realizing the things that you're doing, you know, getting off or drawing that isn't completely accurate. So let's turn that off. And, you know, overall we have a pretty decent sketch, like a pretty decent like skeletal system underneath our drawing. So I don't see any big issues with what we drew. But that's one thing that you can do to constantly check your drawings and double check yourself so that your drawings come out a little bit better. Let's continue on, and yeah, let's continue. I'm not really digging that there's a couple tangents here. Like this is not big enough to be so I think I need to make this bigger so it digs a little bit more into the body. But then I might have to bring this down a little bit on this side. Just have it match the angle. Okay, there you go. Yeah, there you go. That's fine. Okay, so let's continue on. Let's draw a little bit more of the body underneath. I'm gonna try to follow like a basic sphere for the chest. If this is the rib cage, that's where the bottom of the rib cage would be. So I would get the little like muscle things right there, and it would go into my hips. Now, I'm not a very thin man, but I'm also not chubby. So I want to give myself a little bit of girth to my waist by adding a little bit of the muscles on the side, as well as my abs. And then I will have my pants going around me in some way, shape, or form, which I'm not going to worry about right now. I'm just going to draw it. Because I'll probably have like a jacket or something like that. But for now, I'm just going to kind of roughly etch in some camo pants or something. Okay. At this stage, I can also go in and start adding a little bit of color to the parts that are going to have either shading or actual shadows, and remove lines from places that won't, so that I can tighten up that detail in those areas. Okay. Okay, so you guys need to help me out here. What anime should I watch? I have been watching anime nonstop for the last couple weeks, and I am running out of things to watch. I watched everything from Yawumashi Pedal, like the bike anime, Hikaru no Go from Crunchyroll, Sword Art Online. I already watched that a couple times. Demon Slayer was a good one that I already watched. So I'm running out of things that have been recommended. So if any of you guys have any hints or any tips onto which ones I should watch, I highly appreciate it. I watched No Game No Life or something like that. That was actually pretty funny. Besides from the weird weird undertones of like brother sister stuff, which is kind of weird, and I'll never understand some of the things that they're into in Japan. But maybe it's not for me to understand. It's just for me to sit back and not judge. Okay, this is bugging me, so I'm going to. I want to draw the muscle. I don't want to hide. So I'm going to adjust this. I'm going to focus about the mustache a little later. There you go. Because if I'm going to be showing the fact that I have, like muscles, I might as well enhance that idea and not hide it behind any of the features. One big thing that we tend to do as artists is that whenever we don't know how to draw a certain feature, we hide it. Right? Right? If any of you guys in the chat can tell me with an honest face that you don't do that, then I'm honestly surprised, and I think you're lying. Yeah, there you go. Old Man Rod, Pokemon Slayer. Okay, so we have our general idea of a character. I'm going to draw my Pokeball with the black or the red side top because it will help contrast against the tip of the fingers. So even that has to be taken into consideration. That way you can enhance your drawing to the max. Contrast makes the drawings look so much better. And it can either make or break your illustration too. Passion Gaming Quebec. Is that true that if you want to learn something? Okay. Passion Gaming. Sorry for my poor English, by the way. No worries about that. Jamin Jester. What's the deal with the whole chicken scratching versus confident lines thing? I get confident lines when inking, but I do hope people do condemn chicken scratching during the construction phase. Why do you call it chicken scratch? Like, to me, that sounds like you see it as a negative. I'm actually really curious as to why you think of it like that, or if you do think of it like that. The reason that I do it like this is because I visualize things as a sculpture. Like when I'm drawing, I'm not seeing a circle. I'm seeing a sphere, and I'm chipping away at it. Like I just chipped this little part off, right? And that's how I'm imagining it. So when I need to do that, I need to visualize a lot of cut lines, and perspective changes a lot whenever you are dealing with multiple objects. Let's say you added a nose on top of this, which is like a little diamond. But now you need to match that, how it connects to this, and how it connects to the eyebrows. And then little by little, I start chipping out the parts that I need. I'm not seeing this as me drawing lines. I'm seeing it as me sculpting the character. So sometimes it does get messy. Sometimes it's not 100% right. And, you know, instead of having a perfect clean sketch, you get like messy little gesture. And that's perfectly fine. Like, everything doesn't have to have a certain standard. Not everything is created the same way. So don't, you know, look down on other people's creative process. I've seen people that can sketch just as easily as me, but even better than me. But what they do is they just go around the edges of the drawing. I absolutely have no idea how they're able to create such creative, awesome art without mapping it out in their brains. You know, but some people are able to do that very, very easy because they just visualize things differently. I can't do that. I sculpt, I mold, and then I start cutting out shapes. And then I imagine that I'm putting like little silly putty parts back in there, and the shading only happens to the areas that would just be cut out. Like right here, I would cut out 2 eye holes, and they would normally be hollow, but then when you start adding eyeballs and other elements in there, they start coming together as a face. So it's you have to, the first step to doing this anyways is visualizing things in 3D, right? And that's why we need a little bit of perspective. After you understand a little bit of perspective, then it goes into understanding depth. So if you can subdivide something, can you make it so that you can tell that this side is going into a 3/4 view, right? And that's like the whole globe approach. One side is going to be tightly packed and one side is going to be spread out more. And that's just the way that it works, right? But you got to work with an isometric type of perspective when it comes down to drawing faces and stuff a lot of the times, because the distance, like in the features, are mostly symmetrical. So instead of drawing your spheres like a normal globe, which happen to like connect at the poles and the hemispheres, you're drawing more like this. You're drawing parallel lines going up and down, and parallel lines going up and down this shape. And that's going to give you a much more accurate depiction of how you draw a face. And the subdivisions are going to help you map things out incredibly easy. So let's continue. Mike Freestone, Bleach. I have watched Bleach in its entirety. I was highly disappointed with that storyline at the end. It just started getting boring, man. Like, I loved the story, and I loved how they like leveled up the characters, but at the end of the day, like, it just got too repetitive. It was just the same thing. Oh, a combination of things. Nah. I stopped watching that like towards the end. Samurai Pizza Cats. I grew up with that. Okay, so a Pokemon gym trainer has 6 Pokemon. So the first 3 would be Ghastly. And we're just gonna do quick gestures of them. We're going to draw each one in a different layer so that we can move them around. We're going to have Ghastly. Yeah, Ghastly. There you go. Hands. You know, I'm kind of not, like, I don't want to, but I'm still going to add Gengar in there. But I'm going to have him in the background. Like, he's just going to be, like, my ringer. This is going to be right here. They're all floating, right? They all float. We'll worry about the environmentals once we figure out the positioning. That's 3. The ones that I always use are Dratini. So I like Dratini. I never upgrade them. I never upgrade Dratini. I just love how the original little snake looks. Like, to me, it's not a dragon. Okay, it's not a dragon. It's a little snake. It looks like a snake to me. So we're gonna draw him as a snake. And it's beautiful. It's like glorious. So it's really cool to draw him evil. Okay, so we have our Dratini. Now, Snorlax is the other Pokemon that I always have. He is just too cool to not have him. He's going to be in the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are missing 1. And we're probably going to end up making Gengar a little bit bigger to balance out our Snorlax on the other side, since Snorlax is gigantic. Okay, so we'll have him like that. We'll have him, there you go, that's fine. We'll make Ghastly a little bit smaller to be able to fit within this little area. And we will adjust Gengar. Where's Gengar? No, where's Hunter? Where's Hunter? There, Hunter. We'll move this guy a little bit this way. And we'll have him right here in the corner. Okay. Alright. There you go. Might make Snorlax a tiny bit smaller, just so I can see a little bit more of his head. Okay, so that would essentially be my team. That would be my team of Pokemon. My team of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, is that still 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're missing 1. Which one are we missing? Did I draw it? Did I just like forget? Am I like ridiculously like just not here? Okay. Oh, which one should I choose? Oh man. See, Jolteon is literally the thing that always beats the trainers at the end, but I always think that he's such a cheating Pokemon. Like, his stats are ridiculous in the like original game, so it's like it always doesn't like. Which one are the new ones? Oh my god, I could make one of these on like the unknowns. Right? But I could make him an R. No, that's not gonna happen. I don't like that. Oh man, why can I not think of another Pokemon to add? Oh, duh. Duh. I don't know why I didn't think of this one. But I literally draw him. Let's see. Hold on. How are we going to make this like the coolest? Okay, so we have... I know it's kind of like a cheaty Pokemon because it's like a legendary and stuff, but I don't care. It looks really cool. And I like Mew. Like, Mew, to me, was always like one of the coolest and cutest Pokemon. So I like Mew. Alright, so now that we have these, let's add a little call to action, which will be just me going like saying something. Let's battle. Boom. Okay, cool. Now that we have all of our Pokemon, all of them drawn, all of them sketched out, we're going to combine them. And now let's start playing with a little bit more detail on them. Mostly because we already have a lot of detail on my character, so I don't necessarily need more detail on that. So in this case, we're going to start with this side. And I'm just going to take the basic sketch that I did, and I'm just going to refine it a little bit. Just little by little. Making sure that I'm drawing shapes that are not intersecting with other parts of the drawing, and they're not interfering with other parts of the drawing. That is a huge thing that people always forget. Like, you have to be aware of what you're putting, where you're putting, and how you're putting it there. That's why sketching is so important. In this case, I'm gonna stylize him a tiny bit. Do I want to stylize him? No, I just need to make sure that he looks good going in. I'm going. I think he has 3. Not liking the way that that side looked, so I just start over. Anytime that I don't like the way something looks, it's easier for me to just start over and then just draw it real quick than worrying so much about like fixing something that doesn't look right. There you go. Not digging it. Not really. Nope. Does not look right. Looks too forced. So I'm gonna go back. I think it just becomes an issue of this guy being a little too big. So I need to reduce the size of him. Because otherwise he takes a little bit too much. So let's go back at it again. Okay. Alright, we have our eyes. We can go into our brow muscle, into the top of the head. And then we go into the little spiky parts that he has. Down into a little pointy body. And then we are going to figure out how to draw the mouth and stuff like that from that point on. When characters have really big features like big mouths and stuff, sometimes it's easier to map out everything else, knowing that that's going to be the biggest part, and then you can adjust everything accordingly. Or you can just keep it simple, since you're going to draw a bunch of characters, and just simplify. And adjust the body accordingly so it looks right. There you go, that looks fine. There you go. I'm satisfied with that. So we have Gengar, Haunter. Then we're going to go with Gengar. Oh, no, with Ghastly. And this will be a little gas form, so probably wouldn't put too much detail into it. He's gonna give me a high five. Okay, so we have that, we have that. Alright, oh, he needs his hands, which are little triangles. Then we have our Snorlax. I've always loved how chunky Snorlax was. Like, he just literally blocks everyone's path in every game that he's in. And I love it. See, a close call was Gyarados. Like, I love getting Gyarados too, but I don't know. I think it's too common. I need to look up how Snorlax looks, like his body. Snorlax. Okay, so he just has like a round belly part. Okay, so all that can be filled because that's his body. All right, so let's see. Psychopaths and Speed Grapher are both great. I'll check those out. Manny the Kid, Elfin Lied, Plunder. I have never checked those out. No Game No Life is one of my favorites. Love it. And the movie role and the whole wholesome. Jam and Jester, I got the term chicken scratching from other artists and teachers. I view it as essential, but you're right. There is a negative connotation to it. But what I was talking about, yeah, like there's absolutely nothing wrong with sketching loosely. It's like, honestly, it's just, in my opinion, it's way easier to map things out than always trying to make everything clean. So I think in this time around, we're gonna just clean up the sketch, and then in the next video, so the videos aren't like 2 hours long because you guys, or even more than that at this point, but I want you guys to retain this information, you know, and I have a feeling that when it gets really long, when they get really like very long, it just, people just lose interest. And a lot of the information that is said or, you know, conveyed, you guys end up not receiving it. So I might do that for this video. And then see how you guys like it. Then maybe I can focus a little bit more on how to ink and little techniques on inking instead of just trying to get the drawing done. I forget if he has wings. I think that's Dragonair, but give him to Dratini. Dratini is just a little snake, essentially. Oh, they have little circles. Hold on. Dratini. No. Dratini. Right. Yeah, he has like a gem. And he has little like spiky things here. His nose is nice and round. I knew I was missing something. And that's it. The belly's white. Yeah. All right. Yep, there you go. All right, we have our Dratini. Then we need our Mew. So I've been watching Food Wars. that one's been a trip, man. That one's been definitely interesting. Lots of good research for pinups within that one. Okay. Do I want Mew or do I want Poliwrath? I think I want Poliwrath instead. Yeah, Poliwrath was the one that I was using in my Pokemon Go for a very long time. I think it'll just fit better in there. So let's go back to our sketch and let's draw a Poliwrath. We can draw like one side. So I used to train like boxing a little bit when I was a little bit younger, and the reason that I liked Poliwrath was because he turned into like this brawler, like type Pokemon. Gotta make sure that there's no tangents. And Poliwrath. If you guys didn't know, the little swirl goes in different directions for the different Rathis. Poliwhirl is one way, Poliwrath is the other. Poliwhirl, Poliwag, no, Poliwag, Poliwhirl, and Poliwrath, right? I forget. Okay. So he has a brow muscle, and then inside he has his eyeball. That looks so much better. And then we'll have Gengar looking a little nefarious in the back, knowing that he can like mess up anybody really. So there's like a theory, right, that Gengars are just dead Clefairies, or dead Clefables. So he would just be a little bit subdued in the back. By subduing him with darker tones in the back, you make everything in the forefront look better, stick out more. Plus, they would be like a purplish type of color, not necessarily black. Let's see. He needs to look a little bit more scary than Ghastly. so we're gonna improvise a little bit. Put a little rod flavoring to what you think a Gengar would look like. Yeah. Okay, that looks very legit. I like that. We have a little bit more color on our Ghastly. A little more color on our Haunter. And a little bit of color on this guy. Just a little bit, not too much. He would have a tiny bit of coloration as well, so might as well add it in there. Probably have a black eye from fighting so much. And I think that would be pretty much my approach to these guys. There you go. So let's go back to this guy and then just erase the parts that we don't need. We're gonna keep every line that we can get some action from. But we're gonna clean up the drawing as much as we can without taking away the essence of the doodle. Like, the reason that we're just erasing some is just to clean up so that when we color, it looks a little bit better. And also to just add contrast to different areas that need contrasting. Dratini's belly's white, right? So. All right. So little by little, you can see how you build up a drawing. We will work on inking this probably next week. Actually, most likely next week. Let me just start erasing the parts that are intersecting that we don't really need. For example, here, he's going around the arm, so you gotta make sure that that's that. Anything else that I see from this guy? Probably not. Let's ghost him out and get these guys out of here for a second, and we're gonna add some clothing to him. Let's see, what should we draw? You know, I always like the idea of having like a Bomberman jacket, like a Letterman jacket. Whenever I get good at something, I always have like the idea of being able to show that off. So let's mark one of those up. It goes around the neck in the back and comes down. If you're wondering how you draw like clothing, I normally just draw them on top of my figures. That way I understand how it wraps around the body, and I don't rely on like, oh, well, everybody draws it like a triangle. Like, no, I need to figure it out. I need to understand it so that I can know how to draw it. In this case, that looks pretty good. We'll have it open so that I can show a little bit of the chest. But I want to create I want to create lines of focal point so that everything goes down towards this Pokeball. So the zippers will lead down there. We won't close it, but we're gonna give myself the lower part of the jacket that's wrapping around my shape, right? We're wrapping around, and then we're only drawing the parts that show. Same thing here. We're gonna come down, it's gonna wrap around, but we don't need to show all that. We just need to show the parts that wrap around and give it like that little trim that you get. The zipper's at the bottom because it's unbuttoned. If we want to give it like a Letterman jacket type of feel, that's great. Yeah, why not? So we're gonna find our wrists and we're gonna add the bands for our jacket. They will be a little bit behind where the gloves would end up. Then you would have it go around the shaped body and create creases wherever it connects with the other parts. I'm drawing myself pretty buff, so it would be pretty skin tight when it comes down to going around shapes. So you'd be around the forearms pretty tightly, and you would see an outline of the body as well as creases and folds that would be created by the muscles pressing against that. Okay. A true Letterman jacket would have like probably the sleeves a different color, but it wouldn't be like that. It would probably be more like this. If you guys are wondering what the difference is, I worked in apparel for a very long time, so I know the difference between different seams that connect to clothing. And this is more like a crew, and then when it connects to the edges, that's called a raglan sleeve. So yeah, just a little tiny knowledge fact. Understanding little tiny things like that eventually add to your drawings as well. Like all the little tiny things that like you understand better than anybody else. Let's say you understand cars a little bit better, so you know how to put the exhaust on right. That's going to make your drawings look much better than other people's. So those are strengths that you should be using. I'm gonna get myself a tank top underneath so that I can show my necklace and my clavicle. Okay. I'm still gonna have my tattoo on there, but it's gonna be a patch instead of a tattoo. Then on this side, I'm gonna put a Panda Squad. No, we're a Pokemon trainer. We gotta have a... I would display my badges very proudly. I'd probably have whatever. the jacket's pockets would probably be blocked by the rest of the hand, so you probably would not see it. You'd probably just see a couple creases coming in from here into maybe some general shadows. Okay, so if I'm wearing a tank top, it'd probably be a darker color tank top. The tank top would probably fall over here. And then we'll just generalize the pants because I don't think it matters much. So we're just going to add some belt lines, some seam lines, and then just kind of fill it in. We're going to not add a lot of detail there since we don't really want the eye to be going there. So that's why we don't add the detail. Anything that you add detail to, you're going to want the eye directed there. Okay. Perfect. Now I can just mask out the parts that we don't need from this. Ah. Mask. Adjust it a little bit so there's no tangents. Okay. Alright. When I ink it, I might have to adjust the facial hair if I want to still have the hair like that. Okay. Alright, and then we hide the stuff in this drawing that we don't need it. So we don't need all the muscle lines anymore. And I use masks. I don't use I don't just erase. The reason that I use masks is because it's a non-destructive way of editing your stuff. You can always go back and get those lines back. You don't want to do destructive editing because it just it eliminates a lot of possibilities down the line. So whenever you are, inking and stuff like that or cleaning up sketch lines, use masks instead of erasing. Take me there. Alright, so we have that. That looks pretty good. Just gonna add little tiny lines where I still see that area needed. Alright. And then you would just go in and finish up the rest of the sketch, but we'll do that next week when we ink. And then let's bring back our old friends. Not these guys. Yeah. That's looking kind of dope. If you don't mind me saying so myself, that's looking kind of cool. And it's just going to get cooler down the line. Once we start inking next week, I'll refine some line work and everything, and then we'll be ready for next week. So, okay. I think I am probably done for the night, which I think we got a bunch done. I think this is a really fun drawing, and it's going to end up being kind of cool. Oh, in case you guys didn't see the whole thing. I forget that the camera blocks a little bit. Boom! So we have Old Man Rodgon, Pokemon Master of a random assortment of creatures. I might make the contour a little bit bigger before we start next week, just to fill in this empty space. And then we'll work on describing how to ink and stuff like that as well. Let's see, any other comments? Lionel Serrano, hola, saludos de Argentina. Saludos! Diamond Jester, Dratini has like fish fins. Dragner has the wings. I saw that. Anyways, peeps. I'm noticing one thing. One thing. Where is it? There you go. It's this one. Boom. The Dratini line. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so we will continue on this drawing next week, and we will discuss about inking, line weights, texture, and also very simple little things that you can do throughout your drawing that will make it look amazing. So make sure to tune in then. Until then, I want to remind you guys that there is a couple ways that you guys can support me. If you do so, choose so. Let me show you guys what you guys can get. You guys could be a part of history and pick up Coffee Break Doodles #1, which is a collection of my artwork from the beginning of what you would call the Rodgon age. And we have Pinups. Pinups is a collection of lots of amazing pinups, all in one 64-page book that you will not be or regret getting. This is my masterpiece. This guy right here is definitely the best collection of art that I have ever put together, and I cannot sell this enough. It's only $10. If it helps me a ton, and it helps get that printed. I want that book printed. That book needs to be printed, and it shall be printed in a nice, really nice hardcover with like embossed paper, and everything would be fantastic. So if you guys do want to support and you guys like what I do, that is the best way to go about it. So anyways, you guys have a fantastic rest of your week. I will post on Instagram like always, constantly teaching you all things constantly. All I do is for you, free of charge, because I like teaching. And I don't think that anybody deserves to not be able to get the ideas that they have in their head out onto paper. So, for now, this was Rodgon. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for keeping me company on this Monday. And I hope to talk to you guys soon. Bye now.